Mike O'Mara, Radio Entertainment. Hix Nix Stix Pix, a podcast about Rob's movies with your hosts, Rob Spewak and Josh Sroka. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let the show begin.
Remember, you, Josh. Oh, by the way, thank you, Mr. AI Guy, and thank you to Mike O'Mara for making this show possible. But you chose this movie last week. Yes, you did. You had a choice of two.
I chose envelope B, I believe.
Envelope B. Now, that means that today we will end with envelope A. But you did choose this movie, which
B was for Bond.
No, it doesn't work that way.
No, we're not watching The Addams Family next week?
No, as a matter of fact, maybe envelope C, but we'll get to that. I chose this as one of the two movies because all of the Bond movies are about to leave Netflix, and I've been watching them, binge watching them. And this one is particularly a good one, I think. And this one is, of course, called Goldfinger. It's from Eon Productions, which was eventually released by MGM and is now owned by Warner Brothers. Keep track of that if you can. 1964, directed by Guy Hamilton, starring Sean Connery, Gert Frobe, Honor Blackman, Lois Maxwell, Harold Sakata, and Bernard Lee. 1 hour and 50 minutes, and not a misused minute in the whole thing. Now, I know that we usually try to do a shorter movie because you're a busy guy, but for an hour 50, do you think it moved along pretty good? I'm just curious up front.
Yeah, I think it moved pretty well. I think you could have, there were some characters you could have skipped and some unnecessary things, and you could have gotten rid of the sexualization of a Bond movie, but that's what these Bond movies were
especially
Austin
then.
Powers.
Yeah, especially then. All right, so it opens up with this fantastic music and the traditional Bond iconic turn and shoot, which is just the greatest way to start a movie. Cut to 007 James Bond, who is played by Sean Connery, emerging from a body of water in scuba gear. He takes down a guard and sneaks into a mysterious bunker where he finds several 55-gallon drums of nitroglycerin. This is big business. He rigs them up with plastic explosives and a time detonator, sets the timer, and then, coolest of cool, takes off his wetsuit and wearing a white dinner jacket tuxedo underneath, replete with a red carnation. I could have worn, this week I could have worn the white coat. I could have even worn my derby for Oddjob. We'll get to that, but no costuming this week. The explosion goes off without a hitch, and he is told that he has succeeded in destroying a crooked organization. But because
of
this...
Is it just me?
Yeah.
Or should that explosion seem like it should have been a lot larger than it was?
The budgets weren't big enough. I think it was cheaper to buy 6 cans of what says nitroglycerin. Yeah, that would probably take out a good hunk of an island.
I would think it would have taken out the bar that he went to afterwards.
Exactly. I mean, it was loud enough to make the bar shake.
Yeah,
but,
and everyone leave.
Exactly. It does go off without a hitch. He is a success, but he's told he shouldn't go back to his place because now he's an enemy. But he says, I got something to do first, and I'll meet you later, and then I'll hop that plane to Miami. Okay. So he goes back and to take care of this one more matter, which has to do with a lovely woman in a bathtub waiting for him. And as he talks to her, he is jumped by a henchman. I love the word henchman. He is jumped by a henchman who grabs Bond's gun, and the henchman falls into the bathtub where the girl was. And,
but how about that work that he saw the reflection in her eye?
Oh, absolutely.
In the eyeball, he could see that the henchman was coming.
This is why, he's a very popular secret agent. He can do all those things. The guy has the gun on Bond, and how does Bond dispose of him? Throws what looks like a space heater into the bathtub with him, and with the water, of course, henchman dead, and then Bond lets off with one of his great one-liners so we can cue the theme song. Bond says, "Shocking." And then we get what I think is the second best Bond theme, Goldfinger, after Live and Let Die. This is sung by Shirley Bassey, who did, I think, 3 Bond themes. And she's certainly got that brassy, broad type of singing. This says to me James Bond left and right.
Goldfinger.
It's really kind of horrifying.
He's the man.
With the Midas touch. And we go through the opening credits, and we cut to Miami, the sun and fun capital of the world. And, of course, Bond is taking a massage by the pool. and his American counterpart Felix goes up to him, and after a quick slap on the ass of the massage girl, that's her only part, is to give the massage and get slapped on the ass. She's off. And the FBI or the CIA or whatever three-letter organization Felix is with, I think it's CIA, Bond is tasked with going after a guy named Auric Goldfinger, who is suspected by the CIA, but they have no real information on him as a gold smuggler. Now, luckily, Goldfinger can be found every day at the pool destroying an opponent in gin rummy. So Goldfinger, who is played by Gert Frobe, he's a golden-haired guy in a lovely gold pool-appropriate leisure wear suit, but Bond figures out that he's cheating. So he breaks into Goldfinger's room to find a girl with binoculars. This is Jill Masterson, played by Shirley Eaton, feeding card information into Goldfinger's ear via a fake hearing aid.
Yeah.
I love that.
Is that what hearing aids looked like back then?
They did.
Okay, because I looked at that with 2026 eyes
No,
and
you can't.
said, come on, it's pretty clear the guy's cheating. He's
Yeah,
wearing headphones.
Once you get past, like, people holding a cone in their ear, the next
Right.
advanced hearing aid was like, it looked like about a pack of cigarettes that you put in your pocket, and that was your mic, and it went up to your ear.
All right.
It was not a beautiful situation.
No.
But apparently it was enough to win $20,000 at gin rummy. I love the notion of him being as powerful and rich as he is, but still wanting to cheat at cards. So he is up there. He's destroying the guy with cards. But Goldfinger picks up the reception device and says, "You're going to start to lose, and you should give back $20,000, which makes Goldfinger very upset
Yes.
because he succeeds in losing. So they go back up to the room, and of course Bond hits on this girl with the binoculars.
Yeah.
That's just what he does.
Because he's just so good looking in his terry cloth jumper.
Yeah, it's that hasn't aged as well as perhaps the tuxedo.
No. If
so
I planned better, that's what I would have worn for this show.
So naturally, Bond arranges to hook up with Jill, and he succeeds. So we go back to her hotel room, and he's fetching a bottle of Dom Perignon 53, his favorite champagne.
Very
and
specific.
He has a great character notion of he knows all about alcohol, and it's sort of a running theme, but he does like what he likes. And while he's fetching the champagne, he is attacked by another henchman who we don't see, but he is a shadowy guy who appears to be wearing a hat, and he leaves him there. So when Bond recovers from being attacked, he goes back into the room and finds Jill covered head to toe in gold paint. She is dead. Skin suffocation, turns out, is what it is, which I don't know if it exists or not, but he says it's common among cabaret dancers.
I believe it's a real thing where didn't the Tin Man get really sick or something because of the paint they put on him?
Well,
I believe it was something, not suffocation.
It was lead paint is what the problem was.
Yeah.
But I don't know if
remember,
yeah.
They reasoned with Skin Sense that if you just left a patch on the back of your spine unpainted, then
Yeah.
your skin could breathe and you'll be fine. That doesn't make sense to me either.
It doesn't. I don't buy into it either. But
No.
it did kill her. And so Bond leaves Miami, goes back to London, and he is chastised not only for allowing the girl to be murdered, but he was only supposed to observe Goldfinger, and now he's got himself involved in a murder. So they say to him, "What do you know about gold, Bond?" Which I think is funny because it's like Gold Bond powder, previous to the times when it was sponsored by every radio show. What do you know about Gold Bond? It turns out he finds out that Great Britain has a repository just like Fort Knox in the United States where all the gold is housed. That way they can monitor the value of it and the way it can be released and used and help manipulate gold prices. So Goldfinger, he is a legitimate metallurgist, I guess it is. He's into metallurgy, and they know he's smuggling gold, but they just don't know how. He's got the equipment and the license to process gold in a small amount because he's essentially like a jeweler, but they just don't know what he's doing. And he has large stashes of gold all over the world. So they give Bond a gold brick to arrange for a meeting with Goldfinger because he has to have bait, right? So what happens is they accidentally, casually, on purpose, meet up at a golf course. And I guess he tipped the guy at the front because they allowed him, Bond, to play with Goldfinger. Goldfinger, before he gets to the golf course, though, I should say, he gets kill the music because this is so great. This is the first movie that Bond uses the Aston Martin, his car
Yes,
that was absolutely,
classic
the
Bond.
James Bond car for years. And this is Q telling him about the Aston Martin.
We've installed some rather interesting modifications. You see this arm here? Now open the top and inside are your defense mechanism controls. Smoke screen, oil slick, rear bulletproof screen, and left and right front wing machine guns. Now this one I'm particularly keen about. You see the gear lever here? Now if you take the top off, you'll find a little red button. Whatever you do, don't touch it.
No, why not?
Because you'll release this section of the roof and engage and fire the passenger ejector seat. Whoosh.
Ejector seat? You're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
Pretty cool car. And it comes into play it's got everything. I think it's got air conditioning and California emission, all the options.
It's even got an AM radio.
It does have one, and stick shift, which is nice. But that's what he gets the car, and he heads off with the gold brick, and he meets with Goldfinger at the golf course, and they golf together because they sort of work it out in advance that he's going to golf with him. And this is really a sort of a turning point in the movie because we meet Goldfinger's caddy, who is Oddjob. He is as they describe, a mute Korean named Oddjob, who obviously is the henchman that attacked Bond. And so on the course, Bond is kind of aware of the fact that Goldfinger already has his number. And he tempts Goldfinger with the gold bar, and they end up betting the game on the gold bar, which at the time was like $50,000 or something for that much gold. It was a lot of gold. Big bet. And after a bad shot, Bond discovers that Goldfinger is cheating. He's, had Oddjob actually drop a ball for him. And he is a big guy for the rules, Oddjob and Goldfinger, unless they're cheating. So they play it through, and Bond loses the match until he reveals that he switched the ball from Goldfinger, and so great, he forfeits the match because he caught him cheating, and he cheated better. This really pisses him off, and he actually encounters him after the match. We have the second clip here.
Many people have tried to involve themselves in my affairs, unsuccessfully.
Remarkable. But what does the club secretary have to say?
Oh, nothing, Mr. Bond. I own the club.
So he's obviously in with a guy that means business. When you've got a guy with a razor-sharp throwing hat, you're in trouble. I mean, that hat can break a statue. You have any trouble with the physics of the hat?
I have so much. You know what? I was excited to see Oddjob because I've never seen Oddjob. Growing up, I played the GoldenEye video game constantly.
And he's a character
Oddjob
in
was
it.
there, so I knew Oddjob from there. So I was excited to see him in the movie.
He's great in the movie,
physics
no
of
doubt.
the hat make no sense later on in the movie.
How about the crushing of the golf ball with his bare hands?
Oh, that was just fun.
That's a pretty strong guy. So, Bond returns the ball that he lifted, and Oddjob crushes it. And then what happened is before they pulled out, Goldfinger has this beautiful classic Rolls Royce, and he puts a tracking device on it, and Bond tracks him all the way to Geneva. And he observes him driving around, and he comes to a stop, and he's able to observe Goldfinger like from down a hill. He's above Goldfinger. He's allowed to see him, and he's watching him. But apparently there's someone above Bond because a shot is fired at James Bond from even above there, a lady in a yellow Mustang. And so he pursues the Ford Mustang and destroys the tires a la Ben-Hur. He has in the Aston Martin little
one
drill
of the Aston
thing.
Martin tools.
So great. And assists Tilly Masterson, who is played by Tanya Mallet, to get to a garage. She doesn't want to have anything to do with him, so she leaves Bond behind, and he heads, using the tracking device, to Auric Enterprises. And I love that because, I forget exactly the Latin derivation, but AUR is Latin for gold. So it's like his name is Goldfinger. But Auric Industries is a big factory there in Geneva, and he looks through the window and sees the workers, this is so cool, disassembling and parting out the classic Rolls Royce, and every part they pull off is 18 karat gold. So what he's doing is he's making car parts out of gold, and that's how he's smuggling them out of the country.
Right.
No idea how heavy that car would be, because it's not a light car to begin with.
Right.
And you put all the gold in
And
it.
gold's a metal you generally plate things with because it's a soft metal.
That's right, but it's solid gold, Mr. Bond. So this is a great, great smuggling trick. And then he is down there and he's watching all that gold to be, ready to be melted and repurposed. And this appears to be what he calls Operation Grand Slam. So while he's peeking, Bond spots and overcomes Tilly Masterson, who has a rifle and wants Goldmember dead because he killed her sister, the lady with the gold body paint. Aha! So that's how that's related. But then we have a great car chase with lots of Q gadgets to evade the gold crew, and the chase results in gunplay. Tilly falls to the ground. We have to assume she's dead. Bond tries to escape, but Oddjob and company apprehend him. Meanwhile, back at Goldfinger's pad, 007 is strapped to a solid gold slab for the best scene in the film. If we can have that clip, please.
Do have a new toy, but considerably more practical. You are looking at an industrial laser, which emits an extraordinary light not to be found in nature. It can project a spot on the moon, or at closer range, cut through solid metal. I will show you.
This is so cool.
I like that all high-tech labs, they add reel-to-reels.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how you keep the data. Laser right between his legs.
This is gold, Mr. Bond. All my life I've been in love with its color, its brilliance, its divine heaviness. I welcome any enterprise that will increase my stock, which is considerable.
I think you've made your point, Goldfinger. Thank you for the demonstration.
Choose your next witticism carefully, Mr. Bond. It may be your last. The purpose of our two previous encounters is now very clear to me. I do not intend to be distracted by another. Good night, Mr. Bond.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
It doesn't get any better than that. That is so great. I expect you to die. What's cool about that is originally, this was based on a book by Ian Fleming,
Yes.
one of the original Bond books, and that was a buzzsaw going up between his legs, but that was deemed too old-fashioned. The laser had only been invented in 1960. So it had only been around a couple years
Okay.
when they made the movie.
That's pretty cool.
So that is pretty modern stuff. So he lets Bond stick around because he's worth more to him alive than dead. And he hits him with a tranq gun. And then when Bond comes to, he's on an airplane and he meets who I guess would be the female heroine of the movie, Pussy Galore. And we have a clip there.
Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming. I thought I'd wake up dead.
Tranquilizer gun. No capture.
I see. Ah, I'm delighted to be here. And, by the way, where is here?
35,000 feet, flying southwest over Newfoundland.
Oh, that explains the humming.
The humming means you're in Mr. Goldfinger's Lockheed Jetstar heading for Baltimore. And you're his guest.
Baltimore, Josh. Well, how great is that?
I liked the mentions of BWI.
Well,
Whereas
back
it
then,
was formerly known Friendship International.
that Friendship International Airport until 1974.
Yes.
Now, I'm sorry they didn't spend more time in Baltimore because it was really just a stopping point for them to get to Kentucky.
Yeah.
But how great would it be if he went into like the hotel bar and said, "I want a martini, shaken, not stirred."
Yeah, just see Marty Bass on the TV. In the background
great.
as he walks by would be great.
How do they call you Pussy Galore? That's what I want to know. And by the way, 1964, that's pretty saucy even for today to call someone that name. Way
Yeah.
over the top.
Yeah, I don't
think.
know of 1964 if it was less or more.
I don't even know either. So Bond sneaks into the lavatory to clean up and discovered he is being severely watched. There are like 5 different watching devices on him, surveillance devices in the bathroom. So he's able to defeat them all. And he changes his clothes and opens his trick razor from Q and slips a cartridge into his shoe from the razor. They land in Baltimore. Hello! Then the flight continues on to Kentucky, and he hits on Pussy as Oddjob picks him up. He's trying to get with Pussy Galore, but Oddjob picks him up, and Pussy meets the fleet of all women pilots, which is a weird thing that I did not see coming. But Bond and Oddjob arrive at Goldfinger's horse ranch, Trotters, which is very nice. Bond is taken to his quarters, a jail cell, and meanwhile Goldfinger meets up with mob bosses from all over the nation. He owes each family $1 million, but says if they wait one day, it could be $10 million. It's a great, great hideout. His hideout is the best with the rising map and the flipping
Yes.
pool table and the projections. If you had to design a hideout, you'd want it to look like that. And that's when Goldfinger reveals Operation Grand Slam. He's going to break in to Fort Knox, which is virtually impossible. At the same time, down below, Bond escapes and is able to actually listen into the plan by putting his head up in the map, which I think is very cool. He's basically in the room and hearing all the details of Operation Grand Slam. And the way Goldfinger explains it, he says, it's just a bank. Fort Knox is just a bank, like any bank, so we can rob that. And the plan involves Delta 9, which is a potent, paralyzing nerve gas, which will be distributed by Pussy Galore's flying circus. That's how she's going to poison everybody with these 6 pilots, female pilots. And then there's some dynamite and explosions thrown in for good measure. So while he's surveying all this, Bond is jumped by Pussy Galore and relieved of his gun. The mob bosses are treated to a dose of Delta 9, all except for Mr. Solo, who said he would like his $1 million and he would like to go now. So the other mob bosses are dead, and then they crush up Mr. Solo in a car and get the gold back anyway. So nobody gets any money, and Goldfinger has everything. Now, at this point, Bond meets up with Goldfinger over a mint julep, and he describes Goldfinger describes what Operation Grand Slam really is, and it's pretty cool. You have the clip.
Usually well informed, Mr.
Bad
Bond.
guys love to
You
tell their
kill
plan.
60,000 people.
They do.
American motorists kill that many every 2 years.
Yes, well, I've worked out a few statistics of my own.
$15 billion in gold bullion weighs 10,500 tons. 60 men would take 12 days to load it onto 200 trucks. Now, at the most, you're going to have 2 hours before the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines move in and make you put it back.
Who mentioned anything about removing it? The julep tart enough for you?
You plan to break into the world's largest bank, but not to steal anything. Why?
Go on, Mr. Bond.
Mr. Ling, the red Chinese agent at the factory, he's a specialist in nuclear fission. But of course, his government's given you a bomb.
I prefer to call it an atomic device. It's small, but particularly dirty.
Cobalt and iodine?
Precisely.
Well, if you explode it in Fort Knox, the entire gold supply of the United States will be radioactive for 57 years.
58 to be exact.
I apologize, Goldfinger. It's an inspired deal. They get what they want, economic chaos in the West, and the value of your gold increases many times.
I conservatively estimate 10 times.
Brilliant.
Isn't that great? I mean, that is a clever turn on how to make that happen.
No, it's a very poor plan.
Well, it's a bad plan, but I mean, the whole time when you're leading up to this, the whole thing is you think he's going to steal the gold, but instead he's just going to revalue his own gold.
Yeah, and he's going to make it so the U.S. can't use it for 57 years.
Which, by the way, was a couple of years ago. If he had gone through with the plan, we'd be back now. We'd be okay because the movie's pretty old.
And I bet we haven't pulled much gold out of Fort Knox since then.
No. So the plan goes into effect. Pussy Galore, who has now seemed to be okay with James Bond, her and her flying circus go with the Delta 9, and you see an entire fort just collapse. They instantaneously fall to the ground.
It was fun to see all the army people just pass out.
I mean, and it is fast. It's a lot of people. If you look very closely, you will realize that those bunches of army people are all the same actors, just in different locations and different uniforms.
I like it.
And then, so entirely all of Fort Knox has been sedated, and she phones back to home base. The baby is asleep. So armed with gas masks, the Goldfinger crew easily parades up to the main gate. The air is deemed clean, and they dynamite the electrified gate. And the super laser that we had seen earlier is used to open up Fort Knox. They bring in a beautiful atomic bomb set to blow up in Fort Knox, and at that point, when they're setting up the nuclear bomb, all of the people that were apparently knocked out by the Delta 9, they wake up. It was not really the Delta 9 gas. So there's panic. People get locked in to Fort Knox with the bomb. I know that Oddjob is there, a soldier is there, Bond is there, and really we got a problem. Very clever on Goldfinger's part that under his clothes, he's dressed like a military colonel. So he can start bossing people around. He gets out of there. So they set the bomb to blow up Fort Knox, and the troops descend. But luckily, Goldfinger, he gets out. That's great. I just mentioned that. Trapped in the vault with the bomb, Bond tries to defuse it, and it's not going well, and it's very tense, and there's a countdown on the clock. It's like real time, and it's very, very tense. And Oddjob is attacking him, and they fight. And so when you have a fight, plus the countdown, you got a lot of tension there. And also, Oddjob is a pretty formidable opponent. He's punching him, and it's not working. But Bond is able, and we have our last clip here, Bond is able to grab Oddjob's hat and throw it, but he misses. It goes into a steel pipe sort of enclosure here. I would not want to mess with him. No dice. You see, when you wear a metal hat, you have those risks. You just sometimes electrocute yourself.
Well, and it's very common next to all those steel pipes to keep just a welding gun.
Yeah, well, you need that. You need that because, maybe they use it with the gold. I don't know. And then another great Bond witticism when he says, he blew a fuse. I'm glad they didn't overuse those in this movie.
Yeah,
anyway, the bomb is defused. Did you notice how much time was left?
7.
007 seconds. 007. Very clever. All is well. It turns out that Pussy Galore changed out the gas cylinders, and so they were all acting. Bond hops a flight to meet with the president, but the flight sadly gets hijacked by Auric Goldfinger. Even though it is flown by Pussy Galore, he wields a gun, and as we were talking about earlier in the movie, if you fire a gun in a plane, you're going to break a window and you're going to get sucked out. Well, Goldfinger fires the gun, glass breaks, and I'll be honest with you, the effect of him being sucked out of the plane is pretty great. I loved it. I really did. So the plane crashes into a fiery, deadly mess of metal, and lucky there was an unexpected parachute nobody knew about, because Pussy and James Bond are alive, and they are in no hurry to be rescued. And then one of my favorite things about the early Bond movies, it says, the end of Goldfinger, but James Bond will be back in Thunderball. And that was the next movie. Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact they have a plan. So that, in a nutshell, is Goldfinger. You had never seen it, but apparently, I mean, everyone knows of James Bond.
Yes, of course. I've seen all the. Yeah, I'll tell you quick takeaways. My Bond experience is I saw all the Bond movies in the 90s.
Okay.
You know, as a teenager, the Bond movies were great.
Was that a Pierce Brosnan era?
That was Pierce Brosnan. That was what, GoldenEye and something else. And,
right.
Yeah. So I saw a Pierce Brosnan era, and then I played the video game in high school a bunch as well. So that's my whole notice. And then the Austin Power movies.
Yeah, that was the question before we go to break. I'll actually ask you here. After watching this movie and seeing it in its entirety, did it make Goldmember ring any different in your head? Because almost everything in Goldmember, Austin Powers and Goldmember, is a direct rip from this.
Yes, I told Kelly after watching this, I think I want to watch Austin Powers again.
Yeah.
Because I liked it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see it now with this context.
Yeah. It is, I think, all told, I've watched almost all the Bond movies and many of them recently. This is just a fun movie. And the balance between the spy and the sex and the goofiness and the comedy, and there are little bits of comedy in there. The whole golf ball sequence is really well done as far as like a cheating being caught sequence. That's, you could put that in any comedy. This movie lands so well. If you compare it to something like Moonraker, which is outer space fighting, I don't buy that. I don't buy that one.
And this is the Bond movies that I saw weren't really comedy focused.
Right.
So this is first time with the comedy angle, which was fun.
It got the comedy was almost non-existent at the front. It sort of got to a new level on this one. And then when Roger Moore got into it, they got almost silly. And I think that weakened the franchise a little bit.
Well,
but
and I saw someone in an interview recently say that once Austin Powers took it really silly, they had to go the complete opposite with the Bond character and just go serious.
I agree. And I think
that's the right move.
It is the right move. But I think at this time in 1964, they held the balance really well. It's just a fun movie to watch. Let's take a break and we'll come back and talk about all the things that we discussed that we like, we don't like, and more chance to play James Bond theme music right after this. Told you we'd play it. We are back with Hix Nix Stix Pix. I don't think we introduced ourselves at the front. I'm Rob Spiewak.
I'm James Bond.
You are?
No, I'm Josh Soroka.
You're cute. We're talking about this movie, Goldfinger, 1964. I think the fifth maybe movie in the series. It doesn't matter. They all stand alone. It just has a formula that really works for me. As far as the character of Bond, I like the fact that this is in the younger years of Sean Connery, because Sean Connery's last couple Bond movies, he looked a little too old to be being Bond. I think he was age appropriate in this.
Well, what I enjoyed there is this is the first time I've seen a movie with young Sean Connery. That my Sean Connery is The Rock and Last Crusade.
Untouchables, maybe?
Connery. Yeah, Untouchables. But that's the Sean Connery I know, is where he's the old man.
So how did you take him as a young romantic lead? I think he's very good.
I didn't recognize him at first.
Oh, no.
And I knew Sean Connery was a Bond. I knew he was James Bond, but when I saw it on TV, I didn't realize it was Sean Connery until I was like, oh, that is Sean Connery. See,
I had trouble keeping all of the girls separate, but you just couldn't even spot James
I just
Bond.
assumed it was one actress for all the girls.
In this, I think, the Masterson sisters are fine, but I think Honor Blackman is quite fetching as Pussy Galore. They always made a good effort to have a good-looking female in these James Bond movies. This is a particularly good one. This movie, when it was released, became the fastest-grossing movie in movie history, and it's in the Guinness Book of World Records to this day. It really lit the James Bond firecracker in America and made people really love the character. And I think it's because it is a little more lighthearted. If you watch some of the earlier ones, they're good movies, but they're not as fun as this. And
I agree this one was fun. And that was my biggest takeaways. It was the classic Bonds that I know, similar to 90s Bonds, the Bond story, but it was fun.
Yeah. There's a couple good plot twists in it too. I mean, it's a well-written thing. The notion of him not wanting to steal the money, him wanting to just make it radioactive. That's a very clever plot twist, I think.
And it was what I know of as Bond movies, with the villain with the over-the-top plan.
Yeah.
That has moved on to it's like a Despicable Me type character now.
Yeah, like
where
Groot.
it's like a ridiculous master plan to rule the world.
Now, I do think of all the Bond villains that Goldmember with Oddjob is my favorite. Goldfinger, I'm sorry. Did I say Goldmember?
You did.
I did not mean that. I meant Goldfinger. With Oddjob, that's my favorite villain, because in a lot of them, they'll try to bring back, what's his name, Blofeld, and he's played by a different guy, and I don't appreciate that. I want some consistency.
I like Oddjob. Is Oddjob in other Bond movies?
No, he died.
Okay.
You saw him die.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We just saw him die a second
He's not
ago.
in the Oddjobiverse anymore.
Well, I like Oddjob.
Now, the character, are you familiar from your video game with Jaws? The guy with the big metal teeth? He's another pretty good villain. Okay. But he might be more of a henchman because he worked for another guy. But yeah, I really like, I buy into the character, the twisted mental image that Goldfinger has about gold and just loving the way it is. I think that's a great motivation behind the villain. But Oddjob, I mean, you know what? Oddjob is the Sam the piano player of this movie.
He is.
He's the one you love.
Love that he doesn't speak. He just makes some noises.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So good. So good. Now, also in this, the cinematography in this, and I maybe because they were trying to make it look more American, even though all of Bond's stuff was shot in Pinewood Studios in England.
Right.
It has brighter colors. It's really sumptuous in Miami and also in Kentucky. It's those colors you don't see in later Bond films. They're not as, those more are like, they almost look like the coloring in a musical. It's really, really sweet, over the top color. I think it looks beautiful on screen. Now, you're a tech guy, so I have to know, when you see the tech, does it hold up, or do you have to have a major suspension of disbelief?
No, I think the tech all holds up because none of it is serious. It's all ridiculous.
Or specific. A lot of the stuff is vague.
I think that makes it hold up. Like the Aston Martin with all the buttons.
Oh, God,
the buttons
I love
are in
that.
the worst places possible to press a button.
Under the console.
Under the console. Under the little, under like the armrest thing. It's like in here, this little button does the left gun, this one does the right gun. And even to the end of the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Which
the
turns
atomic
off
bomb,
with a switch.
Doesn't the atomic bomb look to you like they'd spent so much time designing the scanner in the car and the laser effect? It's like, oh yeah, we need a bomb too. We better do that.
Yeah. We're going to take the most dangerous bomb in the world and we're going to put a little color wheel that spins inside it.
It looked like
that looks dangerous.
It looked like an ice cream box.
And we didn't even get the whole, what wire do I cut? It's nope, here's the switch.
No, the switch. I love that the bomb came, I guess they upsold them. The bomb came with a cart on wheels. So it's an easy to get around bomb.
Yeah, I think they got it on Temu.
You can take it to the beach. It's okay. So, but you know what? You can't argue with the laser. With the rings of neon around it. That is so great. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the laser. I mentioned that the laser was originally a buzzsaw and that laser technology was really science fiction-y still to most of America because it had just been invented, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I was interested in how they did that laser because, you had to make it look good on camera, but also a nice flash at the bottom. So
Yeah. It's, the movie, it's definitely set in its time period, the 1960s, and you can tell that. But it has aged pretty well. It doesn't look clunky, I don't think. It really encapsulates that era in a great way. Obviously, Bond loves his gadgets. There's one great scene when he's being pursued, and I think he lets go with the fog machine behind him, or the mist, or whatever it is, and he just looks over to the girl and smiles like, "This is so cool. I like this. He's having a good time."
But The best gadget is the ejection seat.
It is.
The effect of the guy shooting out.
So great. I mean, you can't, and you know it's going to happen in the
Yes.
movie because it is so clearly explained. Also, you know that there's got to be something to do with Oddjob's hat at the end because they devote that whole sequence
Right.
to him
But
throwing it at the statue.
And the ejection button, the guy's doing, well, don't press that button, whatever you do. Why not? That
Why
button
not?
doesn't affect you as the driver or whatsoever. It's not like a Men in Black type button where it goes way too fast and you can't control it.
It's the big red candy-like button, and
Right.
it is. You might as well have put a sign on that says "Push this button" because you know it's going to happen. I know that Bond is always sort of a Lothario and a gentleman who enjoys the ladies. He's pretty out of control in this one. From the slapping of the masseur or the masseuse, I should say, to actually fighting with Pussy Galore in the barn.
Yeah.
There's just it's
Yeah, the barn fight.
yeah.
About as close to rape as possible.
Yeah, it
It's
looked
fighting
very
to force himself on her.
rapey. It did look
Yes,
rapey.
it did.
I'm glad that the character has gotten away from that.
I'm learning that the problem with Hix Nix Stix Pix is we
Yes.
look at all these old movies where they don't have a problem with rape and taking
No, and
advantage
it's
of
our
women.
job. It's our job to point out it's a problem.
Yes. This
really,
isn't going to be Hix Nix Stix Pix. We look at Rob's movies. It's going to be problematic movies that are of old.
you know what? You can't spell problematic without Rob. Great use of sound in this movie. Subtle things like the
I
music.
didn't like this. I disagree.
Really? What
I
didn't you
thought
like
this-
about the sound?
The sound effects were off.
Really?
They were not full. They were limited by the time that this movie came out.
There's certain moments that I love the score. Score is great.
The music,
But-
music is great. Music is what it is. Explosions, fight scenes. The sound is weak.
One thing that took me that I really liked, maybe you can at least bend to this, is when there's all that chaos going outside of Fort Knox, cut to the inside and Bond is trying to defuse the atomic device.
Yeah.
The loud to quiet, the loud to quiet,
Yeah.
the whir. I
Yeah,
thought
that
that was effective. But you're right. I guess explosions, obviously, they don't know
Explosions
what's
were weak.
they don't know what
Fight.
300 gallons of nitroglycerin sounds like.
The sound of them rolling around and throwing each other around in the barn, it just
Yeah.
wasn't right.
Well, you know why? Maybe because it was Great Britain. Maybe that's why they don't know how to do barns in Great Britain.
Oh, I thought you were saying because things sound different when you hit someone.
yeah,
in
you
Great
do.
Britain.
It does
It's a-
because they keep a stiff upper lip. That's
yeah,
the
British
problem.
people sound different.
Now, also, James Bond movies are great for the one more things, like the opening with the building blowing up with the nitroglycerin. Is totally tangential to the rest of the movie. That doesn't need to be there.
Right,
It's
it's
just
just to throw
wonderful.
you in.
And then when you think the movie is over and he's flying to see the president, you're ready to see the credits roll. And then there's another great sequence with the plane being hijacked. They love adding the one more thing. Walt Disney used to call adding things to his projects, plussing them up. And it's like there's some really good pluses in James Bond movies. They don't just leave it lay. This is something that I had a hard time believing. The guy who played Goldfinger, Gert Frobe, did not speak English very well. Every one of his lines in the movie
They would
is
just feed him?
dubbed. No,
It's dubbed.
it's dubbed. Can you believe that? Because
Man.
I didn't notice it in the movie.
I guess not. I guess I didn't notice it.
The
I look
one
for that.
line that got through is when he says, "You may want to choose your next witticism very carefully."
Why would you choose a villain that can't speak English?
They had a hard time casting the role. They wanted Orson Welles, and Orson Welles was too expensive. Then they got this guy, but he requested money on the back end, so they just went with him. As far as looking right, I think you have a hard time beating Gert Frobe. I think he's
No, he looks
a good-looking
like
villain.
A villain, yeah.
But next time, hire someone who can talk. It's not a great idea. All of the Connery stuff was shot in Great Britain. A clue to that, and you watch it again, when he turns on the light in his hotel room, did you know that in Great Britain, to turn a light on, traditionally you put the switch down, as
Oh, I
opposed
did
to
not.
America where you put the
I did
switch
not
up.
know that.
And he does put the switch down in that. Now, one last item before we get your final thoughts. We talked about product placement
Yes.
in this movie, and this movie was a big one early for product placement.
Well,
did you pick up on anything?
Well, they clearly took like high luxury items and tied them to Bond with
Right,
the
right.
Aston Martin and the champagne and the Rolex. So those were the
Exactly.
ones that stood out to me.
But other ones include the Aston. By the way, Aston Martin did not want to provide the car. They had to be talked into it. But after this became the biggest hit of all times, they were okay with providing cars after that. Slazenger, sporting
Oh, the
company
golf
that
ball?
does, yeah,
That's a
all
real brand.
yeah, old brand. But also, I think Bond wears a Slazenger pullover, and I think there's a Slazenger ad in the pro shop. Also, Gillette. It is clearly a Gillette brand razor that is in his bag.
I didn't notice.
Ford, because two of the key cars, Felix's convertible, and also the yellow Ford Mustang, very notable. Not sure why you would have a yellow Ford Mustang in Geneva, but that's how that played out. Other brands include Rolex, which you mentioned, Bentley, Dunlop, KFC. One of the scenes where they're being surveilled at the end of the thing, they're in a Kentucky Fried Chicken parking lot.
Okay.
And Rolls-Royce, and also notable, the Corgi Aston Martin hard metal toy that kids had through the 60s and loved with, had all the things that popped out of it. That was created as a merchandise tie-in for this and became an extraordinarily popular toy.
Well, and it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that stuff stands out if you're looking for it, but that's what modern movies are now. Every movie we have,
they're at least subtle. They're at least subtle back then, yeah. And also, when it came out, it was so popular, it was not uncommon for theaters to show it 24 hours a day for the first few weeks it was open. This was a crazy, crazy hit. So, all that said, do you have any pluses or minuses about the movie? What are your final thoughts? I love that I made you watch this one because I think it's a really great film.
I enjoyed this one. The pluses are it makes me want to go to Austin Powers to match up with the inspiration.
Gold member, yes.
Negatives is the sexuality.
Yeah.
And then the forcing it of it that Bond doesn't ask. Bond just takes what he wants.
He takes, yeah.
And so that's the negative in modern context.
Right.
And it makes it kind of a tough with that foundation to... Maybe that's part of the delay with having a Bond movie in 2026, 2027.
Yeah, it is. You really have to take it. I mean, we've dealt with this with so many of the movies I love. I don't know if it makes me a problem or not, but
no,
you have to regard the movie in the era in which it was released.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a captive of 1964.
Yeah, and I loved you brought up the tech. I love the tech because it's just stupid. It's not like they're trying to show anything like real, like, oh, well, that's outdated.
Right.
No, it's all made up tech.
Exactly.
It's not check out this if we watch movies, when you go back and watch movies in the 90s, when they have the very first cell phones, and it's
they're
like
huge.
just stupid.
Yeah. And there was the movie, I think it was a computer driven crime, Sneakers, where it's all monochrome monitors and it's impossible to watch.
Or the one I always think of is The Net with Sandra Bullock, where suddenly like none of that makes any sense now that we understand the internet.
That's right. But they were doing the best they could.
For this, it's clear the time, place, and the gadgets and tech. Like, all right, it's a bigger tracking device. Yeah, the map in the car that you can track it is stupid because it's not a video screen. Like if you drove off that map, you're screwed.
And it's probably not a touch screen either.
Yeah,
I would guess. I'd have to see.
But it's hidden behind the little speaker. Very cool.
Is. And also, I noticed upon looking at Blu-ray very carefully, some of the hinging and closures on that car, they could have been a little tighter.
All right, the hinging and the closing. Go back to the very first scene when he cuts a hole into the building to go like blow it up, and the metal that he just cut out is on a nice hinge for him to swing in.
Of course, makes it easy.
Yeah.
You got to know where to cut. You just got to find the hinge.
Like I said, I didn't like the sound. The sound of the fights didn't sound real. That took me out of it. So that's a negative. But overall, it's a good movie. I can't complain.
I'm glad you like it. How many ejecting seats out of 10, 10 being the best?
I think it's pretty appropriate to give it 7.
Well, you have to say it right. You have to say 007.
I know, to give 007.
007. I think I will give this movie, believe it or not, the same. because it's a lot of fun, but there are definitely problems in it.
Yes.
And also, I don't know if they shot more footage in Miami or in another place called rear projection. And some of the rear projection
there is a
not
lot
great.
of rear projection.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I think
that has gotten better. Thank goodness.
That's part of why I liked the villain scene in his bunker.
Yeah.
Because it was rear projection with the map and all and his plan. But it
Right.
was like supposed to be rear projection. It made sense.
It did make sense. But even though 7 is a lower grade for me because I choose all these movies, it is one that if it's on TV, I will leave it on and let it run because I find
could
it
see
very
that.
entertaining in the background.
I
All
can
right.
see that because it's definitely one you can pop in at any time of the movie.
And James Bond, pretty cool guy. Got his issues, but a pretty cool
Yes.
guy. You know what? I'd have a beer with him if I drank beer, but I wouldn't go on a date with him.
Yeah, I said, but if I was a girl, I'm staying away.
Yeah, stay away. That's good. All right. I hold in my hand the movie you did not choose last
yeah.
week.
Letter
And this,
A.
Letter A. It says Hix Nix Stix Pix 26 Fix Pix Choice A. And this is so fun, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a real envelope and Josh has no idea what's in it.
I have no, this is where you say this is cool. This is where I get concerned every week. This is where I get concerned.
Because
about
remember,
what.
you can't go wrong because I told you last week it's going to be another movie in color.
All right,
Remember,
good.
they were both
Good.
in color.
Good.
So here we go. Damn it. There we go. Let's
All right, what are we
see
looking at?
what we've got.
You mentioned the letter C earlier.
I did. Oh, and you know what it is? Oh, I think you know this movie, but how have you seen it recently? From Paramount Pictures in 1985, the movie is Clue.
Not only have I seen this recently,
Yes?
I went, I don't know, 6-10 months to see the anniversary edition in the theater.
Oh, this will be great then, because this
Because-
is an all-time favorite movie of mine. I've seen it in the theater too.
I had never seen it. And I said, hey, they're showing this in the movie theater. I hear great things about it. I went and saw it, and I had a great time. So
Okay,
I'm
but I
excited
think it
to
does
watch it
require
again.
some dissection because
Yes.
there are weird. I do believe it's the first movie ever based on a board game, which is sort of a questionable piece of source.
And probably the only successful one.
Yes, Paramount 1985, directed by Jonathan Lynn, don't know who he is, starring Tim Curry, Christopher Lloyd, Madeline Kahn, Eileen Brennan, and many others, an hour 34. The movie based on the popular board game Clue.
Now, is there a way when I go to stream this that I can pick which ending I get? Did they get away with, did they settle down to just one ending?
The one they show on television for years, they would edit all three endings into it. So it
Okay.
says like, this could have happened, but here's what really
Oh,
happened.
see, when I went to the theaters, there was just one ending.
On the DVD, there are cheat codes where you can watch all three endings separately. So
right.
I'm sure you
Cool.
can find it. I'm sure you
All
can
right.
also find it on
I'll let you
YouTube.
know.
Yeah.
That's
so,
true.
but that is also something to discuss is the clever marketing of the Clue movie. I thought it was pretty neat. I saw it when it came out when I was 14, and I took my son to see it for, maybe the 35th anniversary? No, 25th anniversary. 35th anniversary when I was a grown up and he was a kid.
Yeah.
So
because
it's
I
a
went to the
fun
40th,
movie.
I believe.
Okay.
40th anniversary. So that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So keep in mind that when we do a current movie, it's only 40 years old.
Yes. Yes. And don't worry, it'll still have its problematic scenes.
Oh, always. If I picked it, they're there. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Mike O'Mara for making the platform possible.
He hasn't
Thank
canceled it yet.
He has not, nor has he listened to it, which is great.
Right.
So until next week when we talk Clue, please watch the movie so you can play along with us at home. And where do they go to do the things, Josh?
Hix Nix Stix Pix.com.
All right,
Everything
and-
is there.
Buy me a cup of coffee. Be nice.
Yeah.
And
Or-
remember,
or, you know what? $200 on PayPal over there.
Yeah.
You get to pick the movie.
what if there was someone who was thinking about paying for us to watch Clue? And they just said, oh no, they're doing it already.
Well, then you should still pay half for us reading your mind.
Exactly. Or more, double. I think it speaks well of us. So yeah, another beautiful,
and
perfect episode.
If you really don't like Clue, $2,000 and we cancel that episode.
We'll cancel the show for $3,000. It'll just be done. So until
All right,
next
we'll
week
change the name.
I'm Rob Spiewak.
I'm Josh Soroka.
And we will talk to you next time. Thank you, all you, as Jethro used to say on the Beverly Hillbillies, thank you, all you double knot agents.
Hix Nix Stix Pix, a podcast about Rob's movies with Rob Spiewak and Josh Sroka.